On the third anniversary of our marriage, I used the excuse of signing a business contract to trick Ethan Walker into signing the divorce agreement. He didn't suspect a thing because his entire attention was focused on his childhood sweetheart, Emily, who had just returned from abroad. It wasn't until the 30-day cooling-off period ended that Ethan finally received the official divorce papers and snapped out of his delusion. Then, like a madman, he started desperately searching for me. The first night after I tricked Ethan into signing the divorce papers, he made up some excuse and didn't come home for dinner. He's the CEO of the company, yet he had been acting especially busy lately, all because Emily had just returned. She needed a place to live, help with moving, job hunting, and planning projects. Ethan poured his heart and soul into taking care of her. In just 1 month, the number of times he came home could be counted on one hand. Even yesterday, our third wedding anniversary, he brushed it off coldly with nothing more than a curt, "I forgot." It wasn't until I saw him in someone's social media post, enthusiastically helping Emily expand her network, that I finally came to my senses. He really had forgotten, because his whole heart was now consumed by Emily. "What are you thinking about, Sarah?" Ethan's voice came from behind me. He frowned and asked in a sharp tone, "How many times have I called you? Why are you just standing there, not responding?" I slowly came back to myself, took a deep breath, and was just about to speak when a wave of sweet, cloying perfume hit me from his clothes. That scent definitely didn't come from me. I never wear perfume. Reflexively, I raised my hand to cover my nose. "Nothing. I was just thinking about the contract I signed yesterday," I replied. The anger on Ethan's face faded and was replaced by disdain. "That tiny little contract of yours? What's there to think about?" he scoffed. "Now Emily, she's impressive. Just got back and already closed such a major deal, bringing in a huge profit for the company." He went on, singing her praises, completely forgetting that the entire deal Emily landed was built on his professional network. Yet he never once shared that network with me. According to him, "You've got hands and feet. Why do you always want to take shortcuts? You know the kind of people I hate most are the ones who want everything handed to them. So every single contract I've ever landed, I fought for on my own. I worked late, drank myself sick, literally until I had stomach bleeding, just to sign those deals. But he never once gave me the smallest compliment. And now here he was, righteously claiming that I wasn't as capable as someone else. It felt absurd, laughable even. Maybe it was because I hadn't said anything for a while, or maybe he noticed the small movements I made, but Ethan suddenly fell silent, clearly unsettled. He took off his coat and hung it up himself. That was new. He used to be so lazy, he wouldn't even walk a few steps to hang his jacket. It was always my job. But this time, not only did he hang his own coat, he even picked up my handbag from the couch and placed it neatly on the rack. That's the kind of man Ethan is. Guilty and trying to make up for it in small, meaningless ways. In the next moment, he pulled a beautifully wrapped gift box out of his pocket. "Sarah, I'm sorry. I forgot our third anniversary yesterday. This is for you," he said. I looked down at the deep red gift box. Inside was a delicately carved jade hairpin. The packaging was exquisite. It was obviously a luxury item. But the more I looked at it, the heavier my chest felt, as though a rock had settled there. I couldn't breathe. I closed my eyes gently, not wanting to see it anymore, and pushed the gift back to him. "Forget it. It's already passed. There's no need." When he saw me pushing the gift back, Ethan's face changed slightly. With a cold smile, he held the box close to his chest and looked at me with displeasure. "If you don't want it, fine. There are plenty of people who do." And he wasn't wrong. That jade hairpin had always been something Emily wanted. Just yesterday, I saw her post on social media, saying she was missing a hairpin. And now here it was, today's gift. Clearly Ethan hadn't intended it for me in the first place. Rather than waiting for him to find some excuse to pass it along to her, I might as well reject it outright. After all, with my short, cropped hair, I wouldn't even have a chance to wear it. "Why don't you give it to Emily?" I said. "She's got that long, beautiful black hair. It suits her way more than it would suit me." Ethan's expression softened a little. He even seemed vaguely pleased. "You don't mind?" he asked. I shook my head. "I don't mind. I probably never will again." The moment I said that, Ethan eagerly pulled out his phone and started typing a message. Not long after, he found a reason to leave. "Sarah, there are some clients at the office tonight. I need to go entertain them," he said. As he spoke, he glanced at me with a guilty look in his eyes. I just smiled and didn't call him out. After all, what kind of company arranges to meet clients at 11 p.m.? "It's fine, go ahead." My unexpected response made Ethan pause for a moment. Normally, at this hour, I'd never agree to let him go out, and even if he did, I'd usually insist on tagging along, clinging to him shamelessly. But Ethan's surprise only lasted a few seconds before the message on his phone completely captured his attention again. Right before leaving, he suddenly pulled me into a hug. "I'll be gone for a bit. You go ahead and sleep. I'll try not to wake you when I come back." I knew exactly what he meant, that he wasn't sure if he'd be coming back at all tonight. "You're not coming home tonight?" I asked. "Of course I am," he replied, clearly flustered, avoiding my eyes. He didn't dare say more and quickly left. Not long after, I saw a new post from Emily pop up on social media. She looked stunning with that jade hairpin in her hair, the same one Ethan had tried to give me earlier. In the picture, there was also a hand visible. On the left hand, she wore a wedding ring I knew all too well. "So happy," her caption read, "wearing the jade hairpin gifted by my childhood sweetheart." I stared silently at the screen, the weight in my chest growing heavier. Deep down, I had always known Ethan liked girls with long hair. I also knew he was never really the right person for me. But I had wanted to take a chance, just once. Ethan and I met through a family introduction. He was articulate, poised, and refined. The moment I saw him, I was immediately drawn to him, but I quickly realized his response to me was lukewarm at best. Instead, he seemed especially fond of girls with long, sleek black hair. Because of that, I tried everything to grow out and straighten my hair, to make it soft and smooth. But I've had naturally curly hair since I was a kid, and when it got long, it turned into a wild, unmanageable mess. Even when I forced it straight, it barely lasted a week before curling up again. I felt defeated. But in my lowest moment, Ethan proposed to me. He said, "I love you for who you are, not your hair. I think your short hair is beautiful." But now I realize he was lying. Staring at that photo on my phone, my heart felt like it had been pierced by an arrow, bleeding and collapsing, gasping for air. In 3 years of marriage, he had never once touched my hair, let alone washed it for me. And yet there he was in that video, gently washing and blow-drying Emily's hair with care. So it turns out, whether hair is long or short, really does matter to him. Or maybe it's not the hair, it's the person. I turned off my phone and forced myself to sleep. In the haze of near sleep, I felt a sudden dip in the mattress beside me. Ethan slipped into bed, his arm wrapping around my waist as he pulled me to face him. "Sarah, are you awake? It's been a long time since we've been close." I opened my eyes reluctantly, only to see a lipstick stain on the collar of his white shirt. "You should go wash up, clean yourself," I said calmly, motioning toward the mark. Realizing what I'd seen, Ethan stumbled out of bed and rushed to the bathroom in a panic. I didn't know how long had passed before he returned. He gently called my name, but I stayed silent. "Sarah, are you asleep? Are you still mad at me?" That mark must have happened when I bumped into someone at the hotel with a client. It wasn't what it looked like. I still didn't respond. Even now, Ethan was still trying to lie to me. Seeing I wasn't reacting, he eventually fell asleep. Sometime in the middle of the night, I heard him chuckling in his sleep, mumbling Emily's name. And I just lay there, eyes wide open, waiting for dawn. Soon, it was the 14th day since the divorce agreement had been signed. In the past few days, Ethan had stayed home, barely leaving. It felt like he was trying to make up for his absence earlier to earn back some goodwill. Smiling, I said to him, "Why don't we go watch the sunrise by the beach while we still have time?" Holding his phone, Ethan looked surprised. "Why do you suddenly want to take a trip?" "If we don't go now, we might never get the chance," I replied. That made him pause. He looked at me deeply, his brow furrowing. "Sarah, why would you say that? Is something going on?" I waved it off. Though I'd long expected this outcome, I still felt a hollow emptiness inside. After all these years together, he hadn't noticed a single change in me these past few days. It only proved how little space I'd ever taken up in his heart. Birth, sickness, death, Who knows when someone might just suddenly disappear? I suddenly grabbed his hand, put on a playful smile, and said, "Just this once, okay?" For what was supposed to be our last trip together, Ethan seemed unusually conflicted. His body was tense the entire time, and his eyes kept darting to his phone screen. When it suddenly chimed with a ding, I snapped out of my daze and smiled at him. "It's okay if you're busy. We can always go another time, if there's ever a next time." Those words seemed to release the invisible pressure wrapped around him. His entire body relaxed as he pulled me into a tight embrace. "I'm really sorry, Sarah. Something came up last minute with a contract, and I have to go on a business trip. But next time, wherever you want to go, I'll go with you." I forced a smile. It carried a trace of bitterness, but Ethan didn't notice. His eyes were already fixed on his phone again, his mind clearly elsewhere. I quietly went upstairs, the message I'd seen on his phone still echoing in my head. Emily had invited him on a trip, and he'd agreed. In his heart, I would never be as important as her. I didn't want to admit it, but that was the truth. Suddenly feeling suffocated, I changed into a tracksuit and went out for a jog. Before I left, I asked Ethan if he wanted to come along. Without even lifting his head, he firmly declined. "No point. Not interested." I picked a park farther from home on purpose. Maybe it was because it was getting dark, but the place was nearly empty. I had just finished 2 laps when I heard playful laughter coming from ahead. "Ethan, stop. I'm trying to run. You run your way, I'll do my thing. I just love grabbing your ponytail." Then, just like that, I collided head-on with the two of them. Ethan's hand was still holding Emily's silky black ponytail. Both of them were wearing athletic wear, matching couples' outfits no less. I looked more closely and confirmed it. Definitely a set. They saw me too. At that point, there was no point avoiding it, so I smiled and greeted them. "Out for a run?" "Yes, Sarah," Emily answered cheerfully. "What a coincidence today. Are you running alone? That's kind of sad, but I guess you probably wouldn't want to join us anyway." I smiled and nodded without saying anything, letting my eyes drift over to Ethan. He quickly pulled his hand away and avoided eye contact. "Running alone is peaceful. I wouldn't call it sad," I replied. Then I turned to leave. Ethan called after me, "Do you want to join us?" I shook my head with a smile. "No thanks, too many people, not my thing, and I've already run enough. I'm heading home. You two have fun." He looked like he wanted to say something more, but Emily tugged on his arm and led him away. Ethan never says no to her, only to me. Watching them walk off together, getting smaller in the distance, I suddenly found myself hoping the 30-day cooling-off period would end soon. I just wanted to be free of Ethan Walker. 7 days left. Ethan started packing for the trip he'd promised Emily. I offered to pack his suitcase for him. It was the first time I had volunteered to do that in a while. I filled the large suitcase with all his clothes. Ethan looked at me strangely. "Sarah, I get the feeling you can't wait for me to leave." My hands paused for a second, my fingers slightly trembling, but by the time I looked up, I was already back to normal. "What makes you say that? Didn't the forecast say the weather's about to change? I'm just packing extra clothes, just in case." He didn't say anything. His brows stayed furrowed, like he could sense something was off, but couldn't quite figure out what it was. That evening, I cooked a full table of spicy Sichuan dishes. Ethan looked at the food in a daze, his expression mixed with confusion and concern. "Sarah, I thought you never ate spicy food." "Then I guess you remembered wrong," I said casually, scooping up a big bite. Almost immediately, pain surged through my stomach in sharp waves. I clutched my abdomen as cold sweat formed on my forehead. "All right, Sarah, enough. I didn't even say anything to upset you. What are you trying to prove by acting like this?" Ethan's voice was sharp, almost annoyed. The stabbing pain came in waves, making me hunch over involuntarily. Even speaking a full sentence to Ethan felt exhausting. "Ethan, take me to the hospital," I said through gritted teeth. Seeing that I was clearly not faking it, Ethan finally panicked and rushed to help me into the car. While driving, he began to voice the suspicions that had been building in his mind. "You know spicy food doesn't agree with you. Why are you forcing yourself to eat it? Sarah, you've been acting really strange lately, doing things you don't even like." I had my eyes shut tightly from the pain and didn't answer. The truth was, I'd always loved spicy food. I only stopped eating it because Ethan couldn't handle it, so I forced myself to change for 3 years. I'd denied my own preferences so thoroughly, I'd even made him believe it had never been mine to begin with. We hadn't driven for long when a string of notifications interrupted us. Ethan's phone chimed repeatedly. Without saying a word, he suddenly pulled over, dragged me out of the car, and stood me on the sidewalk. "What are you doing?" I gasped, still clutching my stomach. "I called a rideshare for you. You can go to the hospital yourself," he said. I looked up at him in disbelief. "What did you just say?" Ethan glanced at his watch, his voice edged with impatience. "I'm running late for my flight. I won't make it in time if I take you. The car will be here any minute, just wait." Then he turned back to the car and started the engine, preparing to pull away. I was in so much pain I couldn't even stand upright. I slumped forward against his car door. "It's still early. There's enough time. Please, just take me to the hospital." But he wasn't listening. "Emily's waiting for me." "How could I make her wait this long?" With that, his car sped off. I lost my balance and fell hard to the ground. My head hit the pavement, everything blurred, and dizziness took over. "Ethan, if you had known this would be the last time we ever saw each other before the divorce, would you still have been so heartless? Would you regret not even giving me a few minutes of your time?" After I was discharged from the hospital, I packed my things and left the city. Over the next few days, Ethan called and texted me from time to time. I didn't respond. He probably assumed I was still angry, and eventually his attempts began to slow down. But on the day the 30-day cooling-off period officially ended, I mailed him the finalized divorce agreement. That's when Ethan finally snapped. He went into a frenzy trying to contact me, calling and texting dozens of times a day. But no matter who he asked, friends, clients, anyone, no one knew where I had gone. I left him hanging for 7 full days. On the 38th day after the divorce agreement was signed, I finally called him, my tone cold and detached. "Ethan, do you agree to the divorce?" The moment the call connected, he frantically shouted my name. Then came a long, heavy silence. He didn't answer my question directly. "Sarah, where are you? Whatever this is, we can talk about it." I let out a quiet laugh. I couldn't think of anything left to talk about. "Ethan, let's end this. Finalize the divorce. It's better for both of us. You won't have to worry about me anymore, and you can openly travel and date Emily all you want. I'll be free to start the next chapter of my life too." "I don't agree." Ethan roared like a volcano erupting. I had no idea which part of my words triggered such an explosive reaction. That divorce agreement wasn't signed by me. I never signed something like that. But then his voice softened again, trying to sound sincere, trying to coax something out of me. "Sarah, where are you? I can explain everything. Things between me and Emily aren't what you think. Let me explain, okay?" I cut him off before he could continue. "I don't care what's going on between you and Emily. That's not my concern anymore. But you're sure the signature on the divorce agreement isn't yours? Because once you've signed something, you have to take responsibility for it." Ethan went silent, stuck. As much as he wanted to deny that the handwriting on that paper was his, it unmistakably was. He had spent days doubting himself, wondering whether he'd actually signed the divorce agreement, trying to recall anything, but his memory was blank, so he tried to shift tactics. "That agreement? You tricked me into signing it. It's not legally valid. I don't accept it." What he said was technically true. But of course, I wasn't about to admit that. I curled my lips into a cold smile. "You're saying I tricked you into signing it? Do you have any proof? You've signed so many contracts. Don't you know that as long as there's a signature, it's legally binding? And even if you refuse to acknowledge the divorce agreement, I can file for divorce in court at any time." In that moment, I could almost picture Ethan, on the verge of a breakdown. I could hear his heavy, frantic breathing through the phone, growing louder by the second. After a long silence, his voice came back, weak and trembling. "Sarah, do we really have to end it like this?" My reply was firm. "Yes. So, Ethan, have you decided? Are we getting divorced?" I pressed him again and again, refusing to let him escape the truth. This time, though, Ethan didn't explode. His voice dropped low, like it was weighed down by unbearable pain. "All right, let's get divorced." The next day, I flew back to the city. I had sent Ethan my flight details. I was planning to get it over with quickly. As soon as I landed, we'd go to the Civil Affairs office and file the final paperwork. No delays. But no matter how well I planned, nothing ever went as expected. Or maybe, more accurately, Ethan had carefully planned his own version of events to trick me into returning. He got into a car accident, right in front of me, barely 10 meters away. The car didn't slow down at all. It crashed straight into a guardrail. He climbed out of the wreck with blood running down his face, looking at me with a pleading expression, yet still smiling. "I'm sorry, Sarah," he said. "I got distracted for a second and confused the gas with the brake. Looks like I won't be able to go with you to get the divorce certificate today." I was certain he did it on purpose, but I didn't know what to say. I could only stare coldly at him. "Ethan Walker, you're insane." His bloody hand suddenly reached out and grabbed my wrist. "Yeah, I'm crazy. I've gone completely mad thinking about you. Sarah, do you have any idea how much I've missed you? It's been over 2 weeks without a single word from you. When I got back from my business trip, all I found was that divorce agreement. You really have a heart of stone to just disappear and quietly file for divorce without even telling me." He looked at me so earnestly, his blood mixing with tears as they streamed down his face. I shoved him off without a hint of sympathy. "Still lying to me? Were you really on a business trip, Ethan? Or were you out vacationing with Emily again? Did you think I didn't know? I begged you, practically tore my lips begging you to go to the beach and watch the sunrise with me, but you refused like it would kill you. But one word from Emily, and you ran to her like your life depended on it." I kept speaking as I slowly stepped away from him. "I've had enough of this marriage. Since you like Emily so much, I'll set you free. Go chase her all you want." Ethan's eyes filled with panic. He took a few quick steps forward and tried to grab my hand again. "Sarah, please, just listen to me. It's not like that. Emily and I are just friends. I don't like her. I only like—" A loud slap cut him off. My nails tore across his already bloody face, making his features twist even more in pain. "Don't follow me. I don't want to hear another word from you. You disgust me," I said coldly. "Because of your accident, I'll give you 3 days. After that, I'll be waiting at the Civil Affairs office. If you're not there, don't blame me. I'll file for divorce in court." I turned and walked away, leaving Ethan behind, shouting my name over and over. His voice was raw, desperate, even hysterical, drawing stares from every passerby, but I never looked back. After leaving the airport, I checked into a hotel. I had one more reason for returning. I was going to resign from my job. Even though Ethan was the general manager of the company, I still needed to follow the proper procedures. At the office, I went straight to the HR department and handed in the resignation letter I had prepared in advance. "Manager Smith, your resignation needs to be approved by upper management," the HR rep told me. I frowned in confusion. "Isn't that usually something handled by HR?" The HR manager looked troubled. "A few days ago, Mr. Walker gave strict instructions. From now on, anything related to your employment must be handled personally by him." As soon as I heard that, a wave of frustration surged through me. Ethan Walker was clinging to me like a leech, trying to trap me here, forcing me to come to him, even if it meant I'd have to make the first move. So, after leaving the office, I went straight to the hospital. Ethan had clearly anticipated I'd come. He had already texted me the hospital's address and even his room number. When I pushed open the door to his hospital room, Ethan's eyes lit up instantly from the bed. He tried to sit up, but the next second, Emily pressed him back down. "Sarah, how rude of you," she said. "Ethan just had a car accident. He needs proper rest." I stood to the side and watched coldly as Emily tucked his blanket up with great care, her hand tightly gripping his, her whole demeanor radiating exaggerated tenderness. Unfortunately for her, this time she was misreading the room. Ethan shrank back from her like he'd been touched by a venomous snake, clearly uncomfortable, his eyes darting away from mine. "Sarah, I don't know how Emily found out," he said nervously. "You have to believe me, I didn't tell her." "Ethan, what are you saying?" Emily blinked innocently. "You were in such a serious accident. Of course I had to come take care of you, unlike some people, who didn't even bother to check on you until now." There was a faint sneer behind her words. In the past, I might have flown into a rage, cursing her without care for decorum. But now, I just felt numb. Flat. Nothing stirred inside me. "You don't need to worry," I said calmly. "Even if you end up taking care of him in his bed or in it, I don't care. He's just leftover trash I've already thrown out. If you want him, take him." Then I placed my resignation letter in front of Ethan. "Your hand's not broken, right? Go ahead and sign. Let's end this cleanly." Ethan stared at me without saying a word, lips tightly pressed together. After a long pause, he lay back down, pulled the blanket over his head, and tried to hide from the conversation. "I'm not feeling well. We can talk about this later." I lost patience. I yanked back the blanket and grabbed his arm, dragging him up. "You can still move, and being unwell doesn't stop you from signing a name. Ethan, stop acting like a child. It only makes me look down on you even more." The pressure caused his barely healing wounds to reopen, and fresh blood seeped through the white gauze. He winced in pain, cold sweat beading on his forehead. His eyes reddened as he looked at me like a wounded animal. "Sarah, it hurts. You never treated me like this before." He was trying to play the sympathy card, hoping to stir up memories of the past, but all it did was remind me of the night I was doubled over in pain and he left me on the street like I was nothing. "Didn't you teach me this?" I said. "Besides, you're in a hospital. Don't worry, you won't die." That one line made Ethan tremble all over. His expression was filled with regret and anguish. He knew he'd gone too far. Finally, Emily seemed to realize that something wasn't right between us. She stepped in again, eager to fan the flames. "Ethan, since Sarah wants to leave, just let her go. The company's huge, it'll run just fine without her. Honestly, all the contracts she signed over the years don't even add up to the one big deal I brought in." I folded my arms and gave her a bright smile. "That's true. I haven't done much at all. After all, I never once used any of Ethan's connections, unlike some people who just got back to the country and already have his full network working for them." Then I looked straight at Ethan. "Isn't that right, Ethan?" With each word I spoke, his face paled further. He'd always thought I didn't know. But I knew everything. I just never said it, until now. Emily's face twisted with sarcasm, ready to argue, but before she could say another word, Ethan roared, "Get out." Her eyes went red instantly, looking heartbreakingly wounded. "Ethan, I was just trying to help you. I said get out," he snapped, not even trying to soften it. I stood off to the side, amused by the show, utterly unbothered. Emily's face twisted with hatred. "Stop pretending, Ethan Walker. Just sign the papers and I'll leave right away." Ethan lowered his head, falling silent in thought for a moment. When he looked up again, his eyes were shimmering. "Sarah, are you serious about this?" Without hesitation, I nodded. "Of course I'm serious." With Ethan's signature on my resignation letter, I successfully completed the departure procedures from the company. The next step was divorce. On the morning of the third day, I arrived at the hospital early to wait for Ethan to be discharged. When he saw me as he packed his belongings, he clearly froze for a second, caught off guard. With a bitter smile, he said, "You're here so early, Sarah." "I just wanted to be sure," I replied flatly. "You have a bit of a record after all." I leaned quietly against the bed rail, watching him pack without moving. Ethan stopped speaking. His hands trembled slightly as he slowly folded the few clothes and toiletries he had. It took him over 30 minutes to get through it, moving painfully slow. Then he suddenly started reminiscing. "Back then, every time I went on a business trip, you'd pack all my clothes for me so neatly, down to the smallest detail. Those days were good." I responded absently. "Better learn to pack for yourself now," I added. "No one's going to keep doing it for you. Oh, wait, there's always your precious childhood sweetheart. Let Emily pack for you. I'm sure she'll pamper you as much as you want." The casual, indifferent tone made Ethan smile bitterly. "Sarah, there's really nothing between me and Emily. Even if there ever was, it's all in the past. We were just young and foolish." I cut him off impatiently. "I didn't come here today to talk about your past." My sharp, unforgiving stare pinned him in place. "You're being discharged, so let's go finalize the divorce. Don't think you can run from it." Ethan's expression shifted immediately. Panic flickered in his eyes. His hands fidgeted helplessly on his lap. Just then, a nurse walked in. "Mr. Walker, we're ready for your final discharge checkup. If everything looks good, you'll be able to leave today." Ethan exhaled deeply in relief, as if he'd been saved, and eagerly followed the nurse out of the room. He was always trying to escape, always avoiding reality. He went through a ridiculous number of unnecessary tests and somehow dragged things out for another full day in the hospital. I stayed with him the whole time, and every so often I'd lean in close and ask, "When are we going to get divorced?" His face grew visibly paler each time. He couldn't bring himself to answer, because he knew the 30-day cooling-off period had already passed. If he said yes, it would mean we'd be walking away with a red divorce certificate in hand. Ethan stalled until late in the afternoon before finally getting discharged. I checked the time and sighed. "Ethan, tomorrow is your last chance," I said calmly. Then I turned to leave. But he grabbed my wrist and begged, his voice hollow, devastated. "Sarah, must we really end a 3-year marriage like this? I know I messed up. Can't you give me just one more chance?" I looked at him, eyes dull and tired. "I've given you so many chances, Ethan. When have you ever taken them? You had 30 days after signing the divorce agreement. Not one of those days was spent with me. You went running with Emily, went on trips with her, left me stranded on the street in pain. You even forgot our 3rd wedding anniversary, the hairpin you gave me. That wasn't even meant for me, it was always meant for her. Now you're telling me I didn't give you a chance?" With every word, Ethan stepped back unconsciously until he stumbled and fell to the floor, dazed. Maybe he finally realized just how much harm he'd done to me. Maybe he'd never truly thought about it until now. Ethan understood his heart very well. He may have once loved Emily, but that was all in the past. He knew now, without a doubt, who he loved the most, who he couldn't bear to lose. But it was already too late. He had been the one pushing me farther and farther away. "Sarah, I was wrong. I regret everything," he choked out. "I didn't realize just how much I hurt you. I really do love you so much. But I guess I loved you in all the wrong ways. These 3 years with you, I was happy," Ethan said. "From the moment we got our marriage certificate, I never imagined there would come a day we'd get divorced." He covered his face and sank to the ground, sobbing. Thick tears slipped between his fingers and ran down his arms. I stood coldly in front of him, watching him fall apart, without the slightest trace of sympathy. "Don't insult the word love," I said flatly. "You don't deserve it. What you call love is just your ego, your refusal to accept that Emily once left you to study abroad. That's why you treated her like she was special. And now you can't accept that I'm the one asking for a divorce, so suddenly you're desperate to keep me. Ethan Walker, you're nothing but a selfish, cruel man." Every word I spoke cut into him like a blade, peeling away his pretense, ripping into his heart. He didn't respond, just cried harder, the sound growing more broken and desperate as I walked farther and farther away. The next morning, I went to Ethan's villa. When he opened the door and stepped out, his face looked awful, ghostly pale, completely drained. He looked at me with a calm expression. "You're here, Sarah," he said. "Do you want to come in and sit for a while? I'll go change clothes." He tried to smile as he invited me in, but I refused. He didn't say much after that, just turned around and quickly changed into a sharp, formal suit. "This suit? I didn't think I'd have a reason to wear it again," he said. I didn't answer right away, just nodded. But of course I recognized it. It was the same suit he wore the day we got our marriage license. "It still suits you," I said softly. "You should wear it more often." Ethan drove straight to the civil affairs office without stalling this time. I didn't give him a chance to delay either. Just like the day we got married, I was the one rushing him through the process. When we walked out of the building, divorce certificate in hand, his face was streaked with tears. He forced a bitter smile, staring down at the red booklet in his hand. "Sarah, your heart is so cold. After everything we've been through, you just stopped loving me, just like that." I lifted my chin and crossed my arms, feeling lighter than I had in years. "I stopped loving you because you chipped away at it, bit by bit, every single day. Anyone else could say that to me, but not you." It felt like the version of me that once shone so confidently had finally come back. Just then, Emily came running toward us, shouting Ethan's name. I glanced at him, curious. "You called her?" He didn't hide it. He nodded. "We're already divorced. There are things I need to settle." I gave a nonchalant hum of acknowledgement. It didn't matter anymore. Ethan and I were no longer connected. Even if he remarried tomorrow, that was his business. Ethan, now that you're divorced, does this mean we can finally be together? Emily asked eagerly, latching onto his arm like a victor claiming her prize. But the next moment, Ethan pulled his arm away and pushed her back. Emily, from now on, you are you, and I am me. I will never be with you, and I will never marry you. Professionally, you're still an employee. I'll support you within the bounds of that role, but anything beyond that, it's on you. Emily's face crumbled. As her expression collapsed, Ethan pressed on with brutal finality. Given the number of times you've left your post without approval, I'll be filing a report according to company policy. He was utterly merciless this time. No matter how Emily begged, he didn't budge. If you have that much energy to chase me, put it into your work. Go land a couple new clients instead. Realizing she had no hope left, Emily fled, humiliated and defeated under Ethan's cold, unflinching gaze. Then Ethan looked back at me, eyes full of longing. Sarah, you were right. Everything really was because of my pride. But with you, it's not pride, it's regret and sorrow. I regret everything I did, and I mourn the life we could have had together. I was tired of hearing it. I covered my ears, dropped my head, and started to walk away. Then he pleaded again, voice trembling. Sarah, can you give me one more chance? I turned around with a smile. Sure. We got on buses heading in opposite directions. If you can find me by the time your bus reaches its last stop today, I said, I'll give you one more chance. Ethan's eyes lit up instantly. His cracked lips opened slightly. Really? You're not lying to me? I'm not lying, I said. At that moment, a light rain began to fall from the sky. We each boarded our separate buses. The moment his bus pulled away, I quickly got off mine, flagged down a cab, and headed straight to the train station. Through the rear window of the bus, Ethan saw everything. Me jumping off, the taxi driving away. He panicked, slamming his palms against the window, shouting desperately, "Stop the bus!" But I was already gone. By the time I stepped onto the train that would take me far from this city, a message lit up on my phone. Sarah, you lied to me. You tricked me again. So I replied, that's right, I'd rather lie to you than be with you. Then I pulled out the SIM card from my phone, snapped it in half, and tossed it out the train window. This was the start of my new journey, a journey that finally belonged to me.